Monster Hunter Rise is the latest game in the venerable Monster Hunter series, a chance for seasoned hunters to dive back into epic battle with building-sized beasts, and then turn bits of them into stylish hats. Nice. But what about those who haven't already carved up more Rathians than they've had hot dinners? With 17 years of history behind this acclaimed franchise, the world of monster hunting can be a lot for new players to wrap their heads around. So, if you've heard the Monster Hunter hype but are yet to get stuck in, we present 7 starter tips for newcomers to welcome them into the fold, in this video brought to you by Outside Xtra and sponsor Monster Hunter Rise. Follow these tips to get a solid start in the game and not get eaten by monsters. Okay, hardly ever get eaten by monsters.
Monster Hunter Rise offers a monumental 14 different weapon classes to play with, each with its own attack patterns, quirks and combos, and that's before you add in the new Silkbind moves, of which more later, or swapping and changing attacks with switch skills, which are unlocked after you've been playing for a few hours. Each weapon type offers incredible depth, and figuring out how to maximise the effectiveness of just one could genuinely be a PhD thesis in itself, assuming you could find a university willing to fund said research. Moreover, every weapon type is unlocked right from the very start, which means those new to the series are faced with a daunting amount of choice, but there are a few weapon types especially suited to beginners. The sword and shield, for instance, is a solid option that rewards careful timing of button inputs with massive damage. Or if you think you'll be too distracted gawping at the enormous beast thrashing away at your torso, the dual blades are a top choice for new players too, as hammering the Switch controller's X and A buttons will unleash a whirling flurry of fast melee attacks, letting you deal a chunky amount of damage while admiring the sheer volume of numbers you're making come out of that monster. Not the highest numbers, mind, but the most. The most numbers. That's got to count for something. Tapping ZR puts you into demon mode, which ups your attack stat in exchange for stamina, but things get really tasty when you introduce a Silkbind attack. Pressing ZL and X throws a short-range kunai that, if it hits, lodges in the monster and detonates after a few seconds, for a huge chunk of damage that you can increase by wailing on the affected body part in the meantime. Obviously, there's so much more to the dual blades than that, but honestly, as a newcomer, if you can get into the rhythm of landing that Silkbind attack, going ham till it pops, and repeating, throwing in some demon mode when you spot a good opening, you'll be well on your way. As a third option for total noobs, the hunting horn we love, and not just because you can get ones that look like a huge double bass made of rock, although I mean that is a big part of it, just look at that thing. Having undergone some pretty serious changes for Monster Hunter Rise, the hunting horn lets you buff yourself and your teammates by inputting specific musical combos. Which is great if you want to feel like a real team player while also swinging a wind instrument into a monster's scaly face, and who wouldn't? When you find a weapon you're into, there's a huge online Monster Hunter community that's itching to show you strategies and combos for making sure the numbers that fly out when you land an attack are as high as possible. A final tip on the combat front: if you've played other games that use lock-on, then like us, you might find life easier if you hop into the settings and change camera style to focus camera, which, once you lock on by pressing in the right stick, keeps the camera glued to your quarry. Lovely. Unless you're a monster.
You might have seen the cuddly Palico cat helpers in the previous Monster Hunter games and thought, God, that's adorable, where can they possibly go from here? Well, how about this, friend? Dogs.
Let's go!
Monster Hunter Rise makes a good first impression when you start it up by letting you customise a Palamute, a canine hunting companion new to the series. But having a Palamute by your side throughout the game isn't just an opportunity to match outfits, though, I mean, it certainly is that. Palamutes fight by your side, and out of battle you can customise their loadout, including weaponry, to your heart's content. More importantly, they're happy to let you hop on their back for faster travel with no stamina drain, but their usefulness does not end there. Why? Because you can use items while you're riding. This is seriously useful, as several times during a monster battle you can expect to see your prey hightailing it across the map, having correctly identified you and your dog as the true apex predators. This is the perfect time to restore stamina by eating food, and use your whetstone to sharpen your weapon, which will have become blunted when you swung it furiously into a bescaled beast. But maintaining battle readiness no longer means being stationary, as with a little practice you can cycle through items and drink a potion, or sharpen on the whetstone while chasing down a monster. Presumably hunters have very steady hands, because we haven't seen any Palamutes with chopped off ears yet. The faithful Palico returns too in Monster Hunter Rise, but in multiplayer you'll only be able to choose one buddy to come along with you. Personally, we'll be choosing the one that can drift corners. Oh yeah, did we not mention? Hold R to dash and then ZL and you can boost the Palamute around corners like a fluffy rally car. This could have been the whole game and we'd have been happy. I hope you're taking notes, Palico.
We mentioned silkbind attacks earlier in the context of monster smashing, and these are made possible thanks to Wirebugs, the glowing blue insects that greatly expand your combat options in Monster Hunter Rise. But Wirebugs, represented by these glowing blue icons on the bottom of the screen, aren't just useful in combat. They also let you get around the world quickly and awesomely, like a Spider-Man covered in bone armour. To do so, you'll need to have sheathed your weapon. Indeed, Monster Hunter makes a strong distinction between what buttons do when you've got your weapon equipped or put away, so get the feel early on for tapping Y or sprinting with R to put your weapon away, which lets you use items, pick up objects, and do sweet acrobatic stunts. For instance, an early training mission will teach you that ZL plus the X button will slingshot you up into the air on a Wirebug web. But what you could easily miss is that tapping A just after doing this will suspend you in mid-air for a few moments. Not only does this feel rad, it's a great way of getting an aerial vantage point on your surroundings. You can tap B to leap off the wire to chain these moves together, or use them to line up a sick aerial attack on a Pukey who's about to learn who the real master of the skies is. Thank God there's no fall damage in this game. Probably should have checked that first. Even better, you can use Wirebugs to travel indefinitely up walls, and here's how. ZL plus X onto a wall, then hold R to wall run upwards. When your character gets tired, hit that upwards Wirebug jump again, and repeat. If you're finding this a bit fiddly, you can often find vine-covered walls that your Palamute, with its terrifically strong spine, can carry you up when you need to travel vertically. But Wirebug clambering is a skill worth mastering because it can lead you to some really special spots. Hunting grounds are packed with secret areas and shortcuts, many of which you could miss if you stay stuck on the ground like a Bombadgy. Instead, get airborne like a Bombadgy hit with a hunting horn.
Monster Hunter games are absolutely designed to be played with others, because it's nice to share, and also, frankly, when your health is in the toilet, it's good for the fire-breathing lizard to be roaring at someone else, just for a hot minute. In Monster Hunter Rise, it's become much easier to get in a session online, and you can do so right from the start, so it's helpful to run down the methods at your disposal so you never need to hunt solo. Your first option is a lobby, which, as with so much of Monster Hunter and all good things in life, begins by having a conversation with a cat. Zenry the mailman can hook you up with a lobby with just a few button taps, letting you filter by target, quest type, and more. When you're in a lobby, you're free to explore the hub world, and when someone, maybe you, picks a quest from the hub quest counter, everyone else can head to the quest board just next to it and choose Join Hub Quest to join in. Method 2 is to use the Respond to Join request option at that quest board. This lets you search through every quest currently available to you and find someone else out there in the online multiverse who's already started it, then hop into that quest in progress. Monster hunting is a great co-op experience, and if you have a good time with your cohorts, don't forget to drop them a like at the end of the hunt using the D-pad. Don't hesitate to help other hunters complete quests, even if they're ones you've completed before, because you're bound to walk away with not just the warm glow that comes with helping someone out, but armfuls of extra monster material. These monster parts are the key ingredients in new weapons and armour for you and your Palamute/Palico buddies, which makes you tougher, which makes you better at monster slaying. A beautiful cycle. The technical video game term for this is farming, but we suspect the FDA would not approve of any agricultural technique that involved getting covered in this much poison.
Focus up, gang, and you'll see that some of the numbers flying out of this pallid eyeless Kezu monster are outlined in blue. Here's a hint, it's easier to see once you tear your eyes away from its nightmare mouth, an extending neck that looks like something Tim Burton would dream up after 7 straight days of no sleep. Blech. These blue numbers indicate wirebug damage, inflicted when you initiate a wirebug attack or land an attack just following a wirebug move, and damn it, you're still thinking about the neck, aren't you? Doling out this blue wirebug damage is super important to focus on while you're fighting, because when a monster has absorbed enough of it, it'll be knocked into a mountable state, and yes, what happens next is just as kick-ass as you want it to be. Wyvern riding is new in Monster Hunter Rise, and as well as making you look like something off the cover of an 80s heavy metal album, it's perhaps the best way to inflict massive damage on a monster. Launching a monster into a cliff face deals tremendous damage, and can be done repeatedly if you tap B at the right time to regain your footing. Although expect it to take a few goes before you get the hang of exactly how to steer these colossal beasts. Seriously, this thing seemed a lot more agile when I wasn't driving it. By far the best method of getting monsters into a mountable state, however, is to let another monster do the hard work for you. If another scaly behemoth blunders into conflict with your prey, or is lured into it by you, absolutely let the beasts duke it out, and watch the blue numbers fly. Few things on this beautiful blue orb we call Earth are more satisfying than you and a hunting buddy mounting entirely different monsters than using those bus-sized beasts to flatten the creature you're actually hunting. Well, that felt incredible. And hey, I'm not even thinking about the neck anymore. I mean, I am now. Oh.
The big monsters famous enough to make it onto the box art understandably steal the show, but the hunting grounds of Monster Hunter Rise are teeming with an abundance of other life forms, all of which you should be harvesting as fast as your thumb can hammer the A button. Some of these plants and critters will offer immediate boons. For instance, ploughing into a glowing Spiribird will increase your health, stamina, attack, or defense until the end of the quest, a boost useful enough that it's worth going out of your way to seek a few of them out before you engage your target. Herbs are always useful as they will auto-craft into extra health potions, of which you will be guzzling plenty. But you'll encounter plenty more bits of endemic life, as the game calls it, and you should, nay, must, fill your pockets with everything that catches your eye. Focus not on the fact that you'll be striding back into Kimura village at the end of a quest with pockets full of honey, dung and bits of insect, but on the fact that you never know when endemic life will come in useful. There's nothing more pleasing than going to craft some hitherto unexplored piece of monster hunting gear and finding you already have the ingredients put by because you filled your boots at every opportunity. This thunderbug, for instance, is a key ingredient in a shock trap, which is something you may want to start crafting as you get further into the game, because traps give you a chance to capture rather than slay monsters. If you can lure a weakened one in and quickly bombard its snout with a tranq bomb or three. Capturing is a good idea once you've got your feet under the table with the rest of the game's mechanics, because in exchange for the extra effort, it bags you more rewards at the end of a hunt. I mean rewards other than seeing a sleepy Rathian snuggled up in a pitfall trap, complete with anime sleep bubbles. Aw, wonder what she's dreaming about. Probably eating me. Aww.
If you're new to Monster Hunter, there's a good chance you'll be momentarily bewildered when you first enter combat and find this is more or less the only video game series where the gigantic enemy boss is also about 10 times faster than you, the player. You know, we never had this problem with Bowser. How to deal with this situation, beyond sprinting in the opposite direction? The answer is to keep an eye on what your quarry is doing, and do your best to figure out its attack patterns. Every monster has a roster of fearsome moves at its disposal, but if you learn to see those moves coming, you've got a better chance of A, dodging out the way before they turn you to paste, and B, picking the right moment to launch your own attack. The best time to wade in is when a monster is exhausted, or in the moments between one set of attacks ending and the next beginning. These are the precious seconds when the monster is not flinging itself around the place like an unmanned fire hose, or thrashing at you with its 10-foot limbs. These openings may be painfully brief, but it's worth choosing your moments. Take too much damage and you'll quickly burn through your potions, and faint enough times to fail the quest, so pace yourself. As the hunt progresses and the monster takes more damage, it will get faster and more furious than a muscle car full of Vin Diesels. Frankly, it's terrifying, but the principle remains the same. Do your best to memorize attack patterns and pick your moments to strike back. Get into the rhythm of this and you'll be amazed how previously tricky fights become almost trivial. Sorry mate, were you doing your fruit attack thingy? I was thinking about what to have for dinner. Anything prepared by cats, I think.
So those are a few tips to make the most of your first few hours in Monster Hunter Rise. It's a game of staggering depth, so we've only scratched the surface here. The best way to learn is by doing, so let that muscle memory bed in and let us know how you're getting on in the comments below. And if you're an experienced monster hunter, why not help out your fellow travellers in the same place? Happy hunting, folks!